Hi, how are you? My name is Leah Morris, and I am the founder of Life Remade. I am a life coach. I work specifically with people who are going through relationship and career transitions, as well as spiritual awakenings. And one thing that I've found to be the most common thread with all of my new clients is that they're lacking a sense of belonging within themselves and in their own lives, in part due to a disconnect that they have with their instincts and with their intuition. A lot of times I talk to people who will express to me that they don't know what's going to make them happy, that they don't know what their passions are, they don't know what the direction is that they need to go or what will bring them fulfillment. And when I hear this, I always think you are disconnected from your intuition and how we can reconnect back to it and what the result is. So, let's talk a little bit first about what I mean by intuition. One of my favorite books is called Self Observation, and it's by Red Hawk. And he talks about three different wisdom centers in our bodies. One of them being our intellect, the next being our instinct, and the other being our intuition. And I think that a lot of us are very classically trained in improving our intellect through schooling, through, the systems that society has built for us to really focus on this wisdom center here. And there's nothing wrong with that. We need to have logic, we need to have reasoning, we need to be able to think critically about things to make informed decisions. What we're lacking is training around our instincts and our intuition, meaning what does our body feel? What does that deeper sense of knowing tell us if we're to listen more clearly? And what happens is we find ourselves, as a result of not being connected to our intuition and our instincts, I'll just refer to it as intuition from here on out. What happens with that disconnect is that all of our decisions are based way too heavily on what makes sense rather than what feels good or what we know deep down inside to be true, what our gut is telling us. And this is why I talk to so many people who have said, I've checked off all these boxes in my life. I've done all the things that I thought I was supposed to do to make me a successful person. Why do I feel so miserable? Why don't I even know how to make myself happy? Why don't I have any clue what fulfillment truly looks like? And this is because we're not allowing all of our wisdom centers to come together and to figure out the steps of our life for us, the path of our life for us. We're only focused on what makes sense. So this is, a very common thing that a lot of us find ourselves in, and there's nothing wrong with that. However, in order to feel a sense of deep satisfaction, inner peace, almost that spiritual connection to your life, and waking up each morning just knowing that you're on the right path, we have to strengthen back our intuition and our instincts. And I say strengthen back because we're all born with instincts only. We're all born with intuition only. When you can date back to, the beginning of time when we were all kind of operating off of sort of fight or flight, we didn't sit there and think, should I run from this saber-toothed tiger or what will people think of me? We just ran. We instinctually knew what was going to get us to safety. We ate things that we thought would fuel us. And as children, we're so in tuned still with this inner knowing that, a lot of the things that we do don't make sense because we're only going based off of intuition and instinct. And through our training, through the systems that have been created for us, we disconnect from that. We learn to question our feelings if they don't make sense. We learn to sort of manipulate or gaslight ourselves into thinking that our feelings aren't valid, or if it's not going to equal dollar signs, dollar signs, dollar signs, then maybe it's not the right path for us. And so these are just a few examples of, how it is that we lose connection and that we can regain it. And so this is the most promising piece of information I want to share today, and is actually what I've built a whole retreat around, which you can look at in the caption if you'd like to join. It's May 17th. This reconnection to our intuitive nature, to our instinctual nature, it takes some practice, it takes some courage, it takes a very supportive environment, but we can do it. It's always available to us. It's never separate from us. It's just a remembering of and empowering that space inside of us again. I think that a lot of people think they're not very intuitive, or they're not very in touch with their instincts. And I hear the truth in this, but I also like to remind people that we are never separate from them either. Sometimes they get buried under layers and layers of conditioning and of years of experience doubting ourselves, and maybe our experiences in life have made us limit ourselves and question our own abilities to trust ourselves. But this reignition of trust within our instincts, within our intuition, will set you free to actually have a life that feels so aligned and good for you as an individual, which in turn will positively impact everyone else in your life. When you are operating from a sense of knowing and deep peace about the decisions that you're making, whether or not they make sense to anyone else, that energy, that light, that excitement, that passion and zest that you feel for life can be felt by everyone else around you. People start to question and get curious about, what are you doing differently? Why is it that you move through life with such fluidity, with such trust in yourself and in the unfolding of things? And it's because you have reconnected and you are able to find that new relationship with yourself again, that instinctual, intuitive piece of yourself that's always there and always available. And this can work for families. This can work, for parents. It can also work for friendships, work environments. The most in-tuned people are the ones that I typically find myself kind of tilting my head at, saying, wow, what is it that they're doing that is in such a humble service to some greater, force within themselves and some greater force in the universe? If you are religious, some might call that your ability to connect with God. If you're not religious, like myself, I like to call it my ability to connect with my truth. And I think that regardless of what it is that you call it, having that ability to trust your instincts and your intuition again is just the most powerful thing that you can do to create change in your own life that ripples out into the rest of the world. And I'm going to break down really quickly sort of the simple, very summarized process that I like to use in order to reconnect people back to their intuitions, and the one that I've used for myself most of all. First, I like to define what it is that, what is the intention? What is the intention around creating a reconnection with your own intuition? Do you want more safety in your life? Do you want more joy? Do you want more depth? Do you want more intimacy? Do you want more trust, more flow? What is it that you're seeking? Deciding on your deciding on your intention for why you'd like to reconnect to your intuition is the first step. Why? Why is it important? Because it's such a non-default for most people that it can get really hard to navigate when the old patterns come back up. We need to have a clear why. Why is it that it's so important for you? Once you have that intention set, then look at what things are holding you back. What things are in the way? What inner obstacles, outer obstacles are you holding on to that you need to release your grip on a little bit? What isn't serving you anymore? What people are not aligned in your life with the things that you want to see for your life going forward? There's a lot of things, people, places that need to be shed. And before we add any other tools, there needs to be a space clearing, a creating of that expansive framework, that expansive space for us to actually explore what our intuition is telling us. When there's too much noise and too much stuff going on, and too many things that are pulling us backward, it's really, really hard to move forward and hear what our intuition is telling us. So looking at your life in terms of, why am I not there yet? So there's a reason for that, right? We hold on to things sometimes because they keep us safe. We hold on to relationships because it's all we've ever known, because it's familiar. But really have a hard look at your life, and think about, what can I start to let go of now? Is it a story that I tell myself that I'm limited because X, Y, and Z? Or maybe it's this, you know, massive level of self-doubt that keeps creeping in and keeps telling you you're an imposter and you have imposter syndrome. Maybe it's a self-sabotaging behavior that is continually keeping you in a loop or a cycle of unhealthy connections with others or unhealthy habits. So what is it for you? And really be honest with yourself. Get clear on what is it that's holding you back, and how are you going to start letting go of those things to make space for your intuition to flourish and for you to have that robust and rich relationship with yourself again. So once you've cleared some space and let go, then you can really do the fun part, which is creating that new connection and fostering and nurturing that line of communication that you can have with your intuition. And I do this by strengthening that line of communication on a regular basis. I do this by identifying my emotions, by feeling what I'm feeling without judgment, just noticing. Some people call that meditation. I just like to call it noticing my feelings without trying to change them. And when you get into that practice of noticing your feelings and saying, oh, today I'm anxious, I don't need to fix myself. That's what I'm feeling today. Just tuning in and tuning in and tuning in. In this moment, I feel what? In this moment, I feel what? We always try to fix ourselves so much that I feel like it gets in the way of us actually feeling. And that's okay. It's okay to want to escape what it is, what discomfort we're feeling, but try to simply identify and acknowledge and validate. Well, it makes sense why I might be feeling anxious because this is going on in my life, or X, Y, and Z. That's one way that you can strengthen it. Another way is, I like to actually journal a lot, and write down things that are just kind of like dancing in my mind in terms of dreams and visions and things that I've actually dreamt of, things that I'm worried about, and just see what my stream of consciousness, when I'm writing free flow, what comes up. What comes up. You'd be surprised if you let yourself kind of liberate yourself while you're journaling. Your intuition is there, it's speaking to you at all times. And so when there's more connection to that childlike nature of yourself with less expectation and just doing it to do it, journaling to journal, painting to paint, these are all ways that you're reconnecting to that inner child again and saying you're free to explore from an intuitive space again. Like I said, painting to paint. So painting this, I painted this picture behind me. That's another form of expression that I like. Any creative endeavor that you can have, any movement, any poetry, any singing, any way that you can tap into creation that is not planned out, that is not necessarily super intentional, but just maybe if there is an intention, the intention is to simply let out whatever it is that needs to come out. That's how you can reconnect to your intuition. So this is just a couple examples of the ways that you can start to nurture and strengthen your intuition again. And once you do that, you'll find yourself feeling a lot more calm. You'll find yourself feeling a lot more expressed, a lot more playful with life, a lot more curious. There'll be less of an attachment to outcome, right? Because you're practicing letting go of attachment to outcome. These are all results, positive results that happen when you reconnect to your intuition and as you can see, being more at peace, being more calm, being more in flow and fluid with life as it unfolds, we release anxiety, we release depression, we release our need to have control over things. We also engage in more innovation and problem solving skills. So I could go on and on and on about this, but if you'd like to learn more, this is a key facet of my coaching and is something that I'm super excited that is going to be a present theme at the retreat that I'm holding on May 17th in California. So if you're in the area and you're interested, come hang out. There'll be another coach besides me who is incredible. And we are both going to be teaming up to provide you an experience that is really going to feel safe and nurturing so that you can cultivate that connection and that relationship to yourself again and go back into the world and actually integrate all of those things that we learn while in a retreat. So thank you so much for joining me today, and I hope you have a wonderful day. Make sure to check the caption for that link to the retreat. Bye.